Welcome back, everybody, to Zero Point Reviews. This is Jeff, and we got a fun one in store for you from 2017. This time we're doing a fan film, Never Hike Alone, and I think you're all going to enjoy this one.
So today's mission, find the lake. This terrain's looking a little treacherous, but I'm just have to make my way. Hey, what's up, trail junkies? This week, fuck me!
The blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
You will suffer an eternity for this.
Welcome back, everybody, to Zero Point Reviews with Kevin and Jeff, talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Like I said at the beginning, we are talking about Never Hike Alone from 2017 from Vincent DiSanti. We were lucky to have him as a guest on our last show talking about Jason Lives, and Never Hike Alone is basically a spiritual successor to that, and it's a fan film, so they do not make profit off of this. Any profit they make was donated to either charities or put right back into production, and basically every dime is accounted for and spent. So that being said, Kevin, when did you first check this one out?
Oh, gosh. Maybe 3 or 4 years ago at this point. Yeah, about that. I want to say you told me about it. I know it was you that told me about it, and I didn't know what it was about, and I just kind of passed it off for the longest time till maybe 2 years ago when I saw the whole thing.
Yeah.
And boy, did that get my attention, like just drop my jaw on the ground.
Yeah, I kind of found out about this from something online in like, say, 2016-ish, 2017-ish. And I knew about it, but I didn't really know much about it. I ended up finding out about this like after I got into like Jason Rising, which is another fan film out there, which is really good too. But I kind of circled back around with this one, and this is the first full one I got to watch because Jason Rising would then come out after the fact. They had a bit of a different sort of production hiccups and schedules going on, but hey, still got put out, and power to them. And I saw this when it first uploaded to YouTube, and I'm like, wow, damn, that's actually pretty freaking good. Like, production values are great. But, you know, my memory is basically, hey, when it premiered on YouTube, I was one of the, I wouldn't say I was the first person. I definitely saw it the day it came out, though. And it's a pretty spry, like 52, 53 minutes-ish, and it kind of hits the ground running, and I totally appreciate that.
Yeah, it really does. There's not a point in this movie where you're really that bored with it at all. Like you're intrigued with the story. You're intrigued with the adventure that Kyle's going on in general until you figure out what's actually happening in this picture. Then you're kind of like, oh, get the popcorn.
Yeah, like if they had never done any sort of like promotional hype saying, hey, this is a adjacent movie or Friday the 13th, a fan film, like you could put whatever spin you want on it. If they had never done like any of that and you didn't know that this was a Jason film, they easily could have like teased like it's going to be like another killer or anything and then saved it for a big reveal, because Jason doesn't show up until about 15 minutes in.
Yeah.
Well, and he's a different Jason. He's more Vincent calls it a revenant Jason, so it's not exactly like a demon or a deadite or anything like that.
Oh, gotcha. Go ahead. Sound like you had one.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, do you want to get into the good, the bad, and the ugly? Never hike alone.
The good. The good for me was the surprise. I did not know what this movie was about. Like, I heard fan film, which detracted my attention instantly. And then I heard based loosely on Friday the 13th, I lost even more attention in it. And then I started watching it, and the kids got in my way. And I want to say that was my experience with this movie for like the first year. And then, so maybe 2 years ago at this point, you went on vacation.
Yep.
And you were like, hey, you said, get these 2 movies done in the barrel. Get these done and ready to go. So in case we ever go on vacation again, we've already got them in stock and ready to go. That didn't work out. Like, I reviewed these movies then.
I know. It's like, well, when I get back, I'll watch them, and then we can get right to having a couple of these just kind of in stash in case, there's family emergency, or you got something, or I got something. It's like, then at least there's something we can have up on the tubes for everybody. But we're finally getting around to it now, so I ain't complaining now. I know I made you do all that work before.
I couldn't find any of my fucking notes from that viewing, like nothing. And that was probably like 8 notebooks ago, I'm sure.
Probably.
So let me try to like take my memory back to where that was. Probably sitting right here in the studio and like intently eating popcorn, stressfully like munching, wondering if these people are going to escape and get away from Jason Voorhees. And no, they don't. Like, nothing escapes Jason. It's beautiful. Like, I didn't realize how faithful and how good a fan film could be. You think fan film and you think of the stupid shit that you would do with your old VHS camcorder out in the backyard on the weekend.
Yep. Done that. Been there, done that. Terrible. Fucking terrible.
Like, there's a little bit of Adam Goldberg in all of us, I think.
I think so. Especially those of us that grew up during the 80s and the 90s.
Yes, like we're all Federico Fellini once we get a camcorder in our hands.
and now we have portable cell phones that we can all do this on.
Oh, yeah, right? And they're going to make 28 days later on a cell phone. So it's going to be like, see, anyone could fucking do it.
I think it was the iPhone 5 they used for that. Luckily for like this movie, they used a proper camera, although there were times they used a GoPro. And in a proudly not sponsored segment, Kevin's dash and webcam are now proudly not sponsored by GoPro, because that's why his camera's a little twitchy right now.
Yes. God damn it.
Hey, weaseling in a little non-sponsor.
Non-sponsor.
GoPro, work on your shit.
I was really trying not to shill last week when we had Vinny on the show, because like I really liked this movie.
Oh yeah.
This is sincerely, I like this more than pretty much anything that came out after Friday the 13th Part 6. Like, 7 is fun, 8 has kills, 9 is terrible, 10 is fun. But none of them are good. This was good, and unlike
on a different level, actually.
Yeah, unlike I'd say anything beyond Part 2, this is a very cerebral horror. It takes you on a journey of being scared, of like you're going on this just random adventure with this guy that's going out hiking by himself.
A fellow content creator, much like ourselves, off on a hiking excursion, complete with, I made the joke, but he has a GoPro with him, and he makes use of that as he's like trying to talk about, hey, I'm going to take this trail, I'm going to do this, I'm trying to get to this point within the next 7 hours before sun goes down, I'm going to do this loop around the lake, going to make it back, and he's going to have like some fun adventures for him. He even has this funny little bit. And I was going to save this for a gag, but like this kind of shows how much of a fun guy he really is.
Seems like a piece of shit to me.
as he's getting ready to do an ad read, he's reading the cards like, oh, this is the bullet point, this is the bullet point. Then he's eyeing up the shovel and he's like, piece of shit. Doesn't even use the damn thing in a fight against Jason, so it's really funny.
Oh, he gets one good swing in, doesn't he?
I think so, yeah. What I would have liked is if he would have hit Jason with it and the damn thing just exploded into like 1,000 pieces, and Jason's like, looks at him like, what the fuck? That did nothing, bro.
There is one point where he does throw
it
something
is
at
the
him,
one hit. It was to the neck, yeah.
and Jason's just kind of like, he looks down like, the fuck are you? Okay, we're gonna do this.
Yep.
Such a good flick. But that was getting to my point where it's like, yeah, they did this with the GoPro. A good portion of this they did with the GoPro. It's like they did this for less money. I can't say with like cheaper equipment. I mean, it is, but it's a much better camera. But
yeah, they did use good equipment when they could.
Yes, like it's a GoPro by today's standards. It's anybody could do that, but they made this movie that was so cerebrally scary that you are attached to it. This is what they wanted the Blair Witch to be. Like they wanted that found footage to be intriguing and new. And it sucked. They made it work with this where it's
yeah, I didn't feel like we were actually watching found footage. It felt like we were watching just something else entirely. So there's not one point where I'm like, oh, this is found footage. This is found footage. Yeah, you see the record and the framing on it like from time to time, but it doesn't feel like it. It does feel like you're watching like a video, but it doesn't feel like you're watching like a found footage sort of thing.
Sure. Yeah. It looks like you're watching a YouTube video.
Yeah.
So,
which worked.
Like, the fact that they were able that he was able to incorporate that and keep you entertained, not so much entertained, but anxious for an hour, like afraid for this guy's life for an hour, and then interested in the ghost story as he's narrating it to you, because that's part of the progression of the story is finding this haunted house, finding the story of the haunted house, and then getting through it, and then there's the ghost. I mean, that's all paraphrasing, of course, but like greatly.
All right.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. There's a good
myself.
What's that?
I 0-pointed myself again.
But that's what we do here, Kevin. We go off on tangents and try and find our way back to them. Unlike poor Mr. Kyle, who once he got to the cabins, he was lucky to find his way back to an ambulance at the end of the movie. But I liked a lot of the subtle details that were floating around in this. Like there was a certain shot in the lodge, so to speak, that had a couple different hockey masks on there. And what I appreciate is those were just kind of sitting on the shelf, totally fun. But this mask that's in your thumbnail here, we call it the Ghost Talk for Never Hike Alone. This is outstanding and awesome. I actually own one of these. It's back at my dad's house, or I'd have it out here. Thought about bringing it back on the last time I was out there, but ran out of room. But next time I go back out there, or my dad comes out here, I'm going to have him bring it out here. But the mask is dope. We talked about the F last week on Jason Lives with Vincent. And I really like the mask. There's just one little thing about the mask that I feel is a little missing. And that's the little axe smash on the head.
Yeah. I'm able to forgive it, but
I can forgive it because this is, if he's a true revenant, you can kind of fib that a little bit. Like, no, he had to evolve. The mask had to evolve with him. So
it grew back. Lots of masks grow back.
Well, and I love how hollow like the eyes are in darkness. Like you don't actually see a eyeball in there, which that makes it a little bit more intimidating in my opinion. And I really like that kind of look.
Yeah, that was something I never really dug with Jason's. Like, in the older movies, I mean, when you'd see his eye and you'd know it was Kane.
Yeah.
You'd know it was CJ, and it's not bad, but I like knowing that from their stature. I like knowing that from their, their swing position, for lack of a better term.
Exactly.
Not necessarily being able to see their face, because you shouldn't necessarily know who it is.
Well, and that's always been kind of the mark that Halloween has had for some of the sequels, and for Friday the 13th here and Jason. I like it when you're not humanizing him too much. I like him a little more haunting, like a specter, like a revenant, like somebody that just does not freaking stop at all and who's aggressive in trying to kill you because you have invaded his territory.
Yeah, right. Like I love the symbolism there of finding that no trespassing sign, and it's there for the whole world to see, and it's literally dangling, and he's fucking with it. Yeah, screw it. We'll just go past it.
Yep. He's like, oh, I turn back and I lose my day, or I go forward and let's go forward. Let's fucking do it. And it's like, oh, and then you see Jason kind of in the background and up along and moving around. It's like, oh, the fun's about to begin here.
Yeah, and then one of the things that I really liked that they did there is they filmed Jason the way that he would have been filmed in part 3 or in part 2.
Yes.
Where it's a stalking position. He's not just immediately going after Kyle and ripping him apart.
Or like the 2009 movie where he basically sees somebody and he goes right after him full bore.
Yeah, there was a little bit more of a curiosity thing here, like old-fashioned Jason, and it worked so well, and that kept things going so well. Like it's a game of cat and mouse.
Right. And it's all one-on-one as well. It's not a group of teens. It's not like 12 to 15. So unfortunately, you're already going to feel like, man, there ain't going to be no body count in this movie. That's not really the point of this movie. I mean, you do get a little bit of a body count towards the very end, but at least for the most part of this movie, it's so tight and condensed. You're more into like the tension and the stressful situation he's in and how he's going to handle himself against Jason, because he's not stupid. I mean, he is stupid in the adventurous sort of way, like, hey, I'm going into a territory nobody's been in for how long, and I'm going to explore this camp and see what dark secrets are still here, as he's counting all the
Body
markings
tags.
hanging, the body tags from the trees and the markings and the blood-soaked walls, and finding like Playboys from like the 70s. Like there's a charm to that. So he's got that kind of exploring nature of, hey, let's see what's out here. There's nothing going on out here, and if there is, I can probably take care of myself. And he's definitely got that bravado, and I can really kind of get behind that, because in a lot of the Friday the 13th movies, there's always somebody who's got a little bit of that, but they never go all the way with it. Except, say, in part 6, when we had Tom Matthews as Tommy, finally, I know, I call him the low-key villain of the later movies, because he's the one who resurrected Jason and started all this shit. But, Tommy's got that bravado. And when he shows up at the end, it's like, he's still got it, man. You never lost it, Tom Matthews. You never lost it.
Oh yeah, and then calling him maggot head kind of gives you goosebumps. Like, oh, I felt that shit.
God, like the last 10 minutes of this movie are just insane.
Yeah, like I didn't know that was coming at all. Like I knew Jason was coming.
Yeah.
And then finding out that Tom was showing up as Tommy, like, it gave me goosebumps. It just immediately became one of the most special things I've ever seen. And so, golly, I was like, I don't care if this is a fan film or not. This is better than anything I've seen post the last time we'd seen Tommy. Like,
exactly.
This makes total sense. I like it.
I totally agree. Like, the first time I saw this, I didn't even know like he was involved with it at all. And as the scene's rolling along, and I remember this very vividly. I'm just watching the movie. I'm like, okay, we're in an ambulance, and then all of a sudden, Tommy opens up the back door. I'm like, oh, it's somebody playing Tommy. Oh shit! Tom Matthews.
That is Tommy, son of a bitch.
I'm like, holy fuck. It grabbed me, and within like the next couple of minutes, like the body count starts. I'm like, oh, and then it just kind of ends, and Jason's chasing down the ambulances. Tommy's hauling off with Kyle in the back. I'm like, oh, what are we doing next? Give me more.
And that scene was just pretty. Like,
God. Well, that goes to the testament of this movie. It's beautifully shot.
yes.
And when they did have use of the very good cameras, stunning visuals, great long shots, great one takes for long periods of time. Like, man, your camera people and Vincent doing directing duties with everybody else involved, your crew. This movie looks way too good to be a fan film, to be honest. And all other fan films since this one have had to step it up a notch if they want to provide quality to everybody else. I'd even say even Cody Falk with Friday the 13th. I think his is just called Voorhees. And his looked pretty damn good too, but you know, Never Hike Alone was first. As far as like the high level looking sort of fan films, because we didn't finish that discussion earlier, but most fan films until I saw this one, I always thought were pretty shit.
Yeah, kind of. Like, you have to take them for kind of a face value. Like, they are fan films. They are kind of what we said, you know, it's being Adam Goldberg and going out with your own camera, with your own crew.
Yeah.
You get what you pay for, and that's just, it is what it is. This really sets the bar to a very high standard. Everyone does a very good job. It's very sincere in what it's trying to convey, and that's a love letter to Friday the 13th.
Goddamn right.
And it gets that letter home. It makes you feel like you are watching another Friday the 13th movie, like a good sequel, one that you've always wanted. I wish this got more recognition in that regard. But, well, again, like I said, not to stray too far away from what we were saying, this needs to be an echelon for fan films. Like, if you're going to make a fan film, you should watch this to see what a fan film can be.
Yeah.
What someone has made with a fucking GoPro. Like, Paramount can't figure this shit out. They can't come up with a good recipe for a good Jason movie.
Period.
Vinny did this shit in the fucking woods with the GoPro. Like, come on.
And with crowdfunding and people volunteering their time and effort. Like, shit. You have people with talent and expertise in actually doing this, and this is what you can get away with. Imagine if you gave these guys like $2 million and said, give us an hour and 30 minutes or less, preferably an hour 25, and go. Just do it. We're not going to ask questions. Just watch the nudity and watch the gore. And in true Jason Lives fashion, there is no nudity in this movie. Even though there is a Playboy in there, they never show anything.
Yeah, I know. But it's implied.
Yeah.
DiSanti did this in a cave!
Damn it, Vince. Now he's going to fire us.
Make that shit like he did! Anyway, yeah, like this, like, if you want to be a filmmaker and know how to make a good independent film that's like captivating and just grabs you and gnaws you the whole time you watch it, watch this film. Like, this is a good picture.
Absolutely. And it's a very good template to follow, whether you have the money or not for it. That's not the point about this. It's, you know, can you hold the camera still for a minute and do like long shots? Like, take a beautiful picture of the scenery, have an aerial view with your drone cams. You know, they did that in this too. Like, they made use of everything they had available to them, and they took what worked the best and applied it to this movie. And, you know, I'm sure there's like plenty of footage on the cutting room floor that they're like, you know what? I like this shot, but it makes the movie look cheap. And so, and they made this as something they would want to see. So if they didn't want to see their own damn movie, why would they expect anybody else to want to see it? So it is a good template and a good lesson in, hey, if we take our time, we apply ourselves, adhere to a schedule, and just get to work and do the work. Might take a bunch of weekends for the next year or two, but you got something you can be easily proud of. And I also want to give a special shout out to both Vincent and Andrew Lady. You both were excellent. I liked Vincent as Jason very much. I think he handled the presence very well. He was very aggressive at times, and he had the charisma exuding through his postures. I think he did that very well. And Kyle as a character and Andrew playing him, I think he goes by Drew. Sorry. He was excellent. And he's your first introduction to this world. So it's like, you got to hit the ground running. And if that guy is even remotely community theater, it's going to take you out of it. And he wasn't. It's like,
Yeah.
Here we go. There we go. That's how you introduce a movie and you get the ball rolling. And about 10, 15 minutes in, let's really fucking go.
And that's one of the treats about this movie. Is like you look at the old-fashioned Friday the 13th movies, and really up until the point where you get, say, Corey or even Tom, like you don't get necessarily great actors in each of the movies. Like they are younger talented or younger talent, like they're up and comers. So to have this picture be as serious as it was and have as good talent as it had, it's pretty goddamn top notch. Again, it kept you captivated the entire time. You didn't have a huge kill count, but you did have one particular character that you were very concerned about the entire time.
Bingo.
Since we talked about like in the last, parts 3 and 4, where you couldn't really give two shits who died.
Especially part 3, like nobody was really remarkable, or you cared about them at all. Part 4 had some, but that was like the biggest body count in all of the franchise.
Kind of, yeah. Like, okay, just wipe everyone out at that party. Let them go.
Yeah, because if you're not going to give everybody a body count, at least when you do have a kill, I want it to be fucking awesome. And they did a pretty good job with this. I mean, the deaths are really at the end. So we get our 2 EMTs, and unfortunately they bite the dust pretty good.
But there was also an implied body count as they were going through. And we talked about it with the body tags in each of the different scenes. As Kyle's telling a different part of the ghost story, there's a different set of body tags there that's reminiscent of different kills in each of the different movies. Like Steve Christie was out in where the driveway, basically, where I was going to say Veronica. That's so not her name.
Yeah.
Pamela comes up and kills him.
Yep.
Veronica. Anyway.
Somebody's got Veronica on the mind.
I don't know why. That's stuck in my head now. Anyway, all right. Skip that. That's a 0 point.
Another thing I kind of like about this is the music. I know it sounds like everything about this is really good, and it really is. And when we get to the bad, there are a couple of pullbacks on this, but you got any other thoughts, Kevin?
Without jumping ahead to next week, this is pretty much a singularly perfect film for where it is, but it evolves and it grows into something much bigger next week that's even more fun.
Yep. And spoiler alert, Never Hike Alone Part 2 is next week.
Yes.
And we had already scheduled this long before we knew that there was going to be a Kickstarter going on, or before Vincent said he would join us on Jason Lives. So I am going to do a quick little show for him, super quick. He does have a Kickstarter going. They are working on a final cut where they're going to take Never Hike Alone Part 1 and Part 2. They're going to do a little splish and splice, and they're going to make that one big long movie in one big cut. They're looking at doing some extra scenes, possibly. I'm going to we'll have a link down in the description below. We're going to send you over to his Kickstarter. So if you're interested, there is a way you can also get the copies of these films on Blu-ray. There's a perk for doing that. There's also Never Hike in the Snow, which is a little bit of a kind of a side story to this all, and that's going to be available as well. So we'll send you over there. We'll have a link in the description down below, so you can easily go check that out, see if you want to donate. If you don't, that's cool, but it's worth taking a look. So I highly recommend that.
Yeah, and well, I mean, well, I'll say more about this or more about that at the end. Like, this is not a well-known movie. Obviously, this is a small independent picture. I will guarantee you this is worth your time. It's worth your penny to go for free on YouTube and spend an hour to watch it. Like, it will. I can't say that it'll scare the shit out of you, but it'll get your blood pressure going. Like, it'll get your heart rate going a little bit.
Well, that's one of the things I really love about this movie is it definitely brings the tension, and it'll make you feel a little stressed out a little bit.
Yeah,
because if you've ever gone hiking, some of you understand, like, sometimes you got to find a different way around a certain path or not, or do you really want to go over that, dangerous little curve or that climb? Sometimes you push through and you're like, I'll figure out how to get down on the way back.
Yeah.
And this is very much kind of like that, where you take a trail and it's like, you know what, let's go over there and see what we find. And then you find out, oh shit, it's Camp Crystal Lake. Then you get excited, and then all of a sudden, 20 minutes later, you're like, fuck, I found Camp Crystal fucking Lake, and now I gotta fucking run for my goddamn life.
Yeah, I heard ghost stories about this when I was a kid. Oh shit, those ghost stories are true. Run away.
Yeah, it's such bullshit. I don't believe in it. I guess they were just myths after all, but something definitely happened here. As he then tries to clear out the chimney and finds a dead badger or possum or whatever it was.
Food. That's where where else do you put your food when you're done?
Such food that he flung it like 30 feet towards Jason.
It's gross.
And for anybody curious, on YouTube, this currently has 4.6 million views from 6 years ago.
Yeah, and only 1 million of them are me.
And 2 are mine.
Yeah. No. This is a dope flick, and I guess I'll hop to the bad.
Yep, we can just head on right into it.
It needs to get more recognition from people like Paramount. And I don't know what control Paramount has over it right now. I know Sean Cunningham just did a whole bunch of legal bullshit throughout the last year that's put the whole Friday franchise in a whole tizzy where nobody knows what the hell is going on outside of the Camp Crystal Lake TV show. So I don't know, but I wish this got more recognition. Like, this is a great horror movie.
Yeah, like amongst like content creators on, say, like YouTube here, like a lot of us really like this one. And I remember seeing some reviews like a long time ago. I think one of them was Cody Leach, and I think he pretty much really liked it. And just about everybody, when they see this initially, it's like, oh, it's you hear fan film and it's got that negative connotation on it. This is that kind of movie that it starts to rub away that connotation of fan film. So unfortunately, it's got to be part of their tagline. Like, you have to label these as fan films because that's what they are. You can't make money off of them, or that's when the bad people at Paramount start come running along.
Yeah.
But, they've not had any problems. They've been able to do about 3 of these and working on a final cut. I mean, a lot of us would love to see a Never Hike Alone 3. Vincent, talking to you, buddy. But that said, like, to your point, recognition on a more larger scale, like, say, Fangoria, actual, bigger press, I know Bloody Disgusting and like Dread Central, they'll talk about these. They usually do. That's how I found out about the Valentine Bluffs one years ago that we covered on a previous episode of Zero Point Reviews. But, appreciate the fact that it's gotten the attention it has. I wish it could have. I wish it'd be known a little bit more amongst the wider circle, because there's more Friday the 13th fans out there that are not aware of this that I think would really enjoy this.
Yes. This is where you'd be like, wow, that was a perfect Jason adventure. That's what I expected from this movie. Like, pretty much everything you expect and want from a Friday the 13th picture is in this movie, aside from nudity. Like, it's very up in your face. It's very visceral. It's a mixture of what they used to be and what you want, what you expect of it now. The great big force that is the bear hulking Jason.
Oh yeah.
That also stalks you.
Yes, very loudly at times too. And this is just a nitpick, and this many other people have said it, and Vincent knows about it too. Some of the Foley sounds of Jason hulking around outside while the camera is inside the lodge, and he's like 50 feet away. It sounds like he's right on top of you, like a freaking, T-2000 or something like that, or T-100, like Arnold stomping around.
So I watched it on my tablet with my Sennheiser earbuds in.
Oh, you put the good ones in.
Yeah, I used the True Wireless, and golly, did that give me goosebumps. I'm like, oh shit. Oh, that's cool.
I mean, at times it's really good. At other times it's like, you could have like turned the decibels down just a couple of ticks, just to keep it down.
I see what you're saying, but golly, that was impressive. Like,
Yeah.
Being in that position where I'm trying to put myself in Kyle's shoes, like that was, to have that in the 3D sound was very ominous. Excuse me, very ominous sounding. It was fun.
Yeah. Yeah. The only other thing I would say about this is like, it's a very tight 52 minutes. I would have preferred this to be a little longer. I think there was more story you could tell. But I understand what they were going for on this first one, and that they had a end in sight, because if they were thinking about doing a second one, you don't want to get too much into that and then all of a sudden figure out, we had a part 2 figured out, but we took half of that to finish up this one. Now what do we do for because then eventually you got to figure out, well, what the hell are we going to do in the second one after like 30 minutes? We can't just end it there. So I mean, I like my movies to be like over an hour long, but for 53 minutes, this is pretty on point, and it's a good entry. Do wish it was a little bit longer. And that is not what she said.
Giggity. Sorry. It was obligatory.
Some folks have a strange idea of entertainment.
You boys are nasty.
I ain't gonna lose my job over this. Gonna bury this back up. Couldn't even bury him properly.
That is one thing that this picture was missing, was a coot.
A wild, crazy
It had
dude
no,
who's half drunk.
it had no codger. no fucking prospector. Or
You can't even say Tommy was any sort of a codger, because he wasn't.
No. He was a well, no, he wasn't a grifter in the sixth one. He was just an escaped patient.
Mental patient.
Yeah. An extremely
bent
good
on resurrecting Jason just so he could destroy him again.
Yeah, I want to bring you back to life so I can kick your ass again.
Yeah, because I ain't done with you yet, bitch.
My PTSD still isn't gone. So, but yeah. So the bad for me, kind of like Hostel. Like, I was having a lot of fun watching Kyle in this picture, and then it turns to a whole different kind of movie. But golly, I'm okay with that. Like, I'm not gonna bitch at all.
Are you talking about how it tonally changes, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Like it changes from like this fun adventure type movie to an extremely scary film that's Jason very fast, and it's like, wow, it turns you on your head. That's not a bad thing, but I also enjoyed the first half of this movie. Like, oh, if it was a movie just about this guy Kyle, I would have enjoyed that the entire time. But I'm actually really sitting here for this type of movie instead.
Yeah. It's a nice treat to have towards the second half of the movie. So
Yeah. I don't know. I dug this picture. I don't have any bad or uglies to it. I really don't.
For trying to even come up with stuff, it's like, oh man, I gotta get really nitpicky. Okay, well, Mask is missing a axe smash through the skull. Some of the Foley sounds, and it could have the runtime was a little short. That's about all I got because I really like the acting performances are good. Like everybody did very well. I didn't feel like for a minute I was watching a fan film. I felt like I was actually watching a polished product of a real film that, hey, Paramount, Cunningham, give these guys a look. What would it hurt to give them a couple $1 million and just, hey, if you can make it work, great. It was worth a try. We're going to figure out something else. At least you then tried fresh blood of people who care about the franchise, care about Jason, and understand what the audience wants. Because while you can say, oh, it's not the body, there's not much of a body count here. Other fan films do. Great on them. Are they as quality gory as this? Probably not. Maybe yes for some kills, but for the most part, you're going to get some, oh, hey, this prosthetic just fell off. Oops.
Oops.
Like the quality of this is just outstanding, and the cinematography is just fucking beautiful.
Better than you'll get in any of the original pictures.
Especially part 9.
Well,
as I sit here looking at my 4K, my remake, 2009.
Oh, 2009. I think you said part 9. I was like,
well, part 9 too. You know what I like to say, Kevin, about Goes to Hell. It's a great Friday the 13th movie for about the first 7 minutes, and then you just stop.
Yeah.
The second it gets blown up, movie's over. Everybody leave.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Glad you came out. We had a good time. They're on budget.
Now, that's what I call a short film I could get behind.
It had
especially the FBI agent who was stripping at the beginning of that.
I was going to say it had full frontal in the first 30 seconds. Yay!
And then you didn't get any more ever again in that movie.
No, but we had John LeMay.
Too true.
That's right. Anyway.
that's our boy. All right, Kevin, I got to ask you. We usually have to ask it. The ugly.
The ugly's that piece of shit shovel.
This thing seems like a piece of shit to me.
I'm glad you took a still of that. We don't look at each other's stuffs before we hit onto the review here, so this is funny.
I got no ugly. Again, other than the fact this has a stigma. This could have a stigma. I don't say this does have a stigma. Fan films, the word fan film has a stigma. This blows that stigma way the hell out of the water. Like, this is a fantastic fucking movie. Needs to be seen by more people. It needs to be taken seriously by Paramount. And they need to throw money at DiSanti and be like, hey, Vincent, do that cool shit.
We want to hire you.
Yeah, do that cool shit you did.
Yeah.
Do it again.
But
make it
now
bigger.
You can use better equipment. Real film.
But we want you to be Jason again still. So, yeah.
And double pay.
Double pay. Yes. Damn it. He deserves it.
Goddamn right. He's also great in Happy Halloween, Michael Myers fan film too.
Oh, was he Michael in that?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I'm actually going to watch that as part of my 30 Days of Horror.
Nice. Very groovy.
You know, I'm looking at this thumbnail, Kevin, and I'm wondering, do we need to change the ugly to something else going forward? 'Cause we're starting to struggle with some of these movies, ugly, unless it's like mistreatment by studios and shit like that.
Maybe because there's some pictures where you're just kind of like, there's nothing I didn't like about this.
Like
This
you
is-
could get something to fit in like the bad, like every movie's got a nitpick for people, so it's like you can find something there, but like ugly. I don't know, everybody. What does some of you think? Should we retitle this segment and do something else? Put a comment down below. I want to hear about it.
Go
Or we
on,
can come up
tell
with
us.
one on our own. You won't like us when we have to choose on our own.
Yeah, right. We can't make decisions. Anyway,
Nope. All right. Final judgment, Kevin.
Final Judgment. Oh man, they brought back Tommy. So
Shit.
yeah, that was kind of like you brought back my childhood hero, and just really sold that to me here. That gave your movie validity. It gave me that nostalgia feel again. And again, we've talked about that now with like reboots and stuff like that, where legacy sequels feel better because you're getting that hero from your childhood. You're getting your sequel that feels natural, but then here's your protagonist, antagonist, depending upon your point of view.
He's
here's
the real villain of Friday the 13th, everybody.
here's the guy that keeps killing Jason, god damn it.
And bringing him back to life so we can kill him again.
Yeah.
The
Anyway,
definition of insanity. How many times can I kill this fucker?
here was the best one, my favorite one, and I don't know, I've always really loved Tom, and to see him in this just made it super special. And then next week I'll just completely gush about him.
Yeah, well, yeah, because in the next one, he takes more of the central character in the movie, while Kyle's more in the background. But by the end of the movie, Kyle is more involved, and it feels like we're teaming up to deal with Jason. So that's a fun concept for everybody. And Never Hike Alone 2 actually has more views than this one does. It's got 4.8 million.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
That's
it's pretty
cool.
rad to see that. And so I'm eager to see what we get from our final cut coming up. So just repeating for everybody that there is a Kickstarter going on. We'll have a link in the description below. When we tweet this out, we're gonna tag Womp Stop Films. They're on Twitter. Absolutely go check them out there too. Vincent's got a great stream on Fridays. He likes to keep everybody in the loop. He's always got some fun information and anecdotes. So always a good time to check out his Ghost Files show that he has on his YouTube channel. And goddamn, I love this movie, and I love the next one even more. Tom is fantastic as a returning character. It brings that through line back to Jason Lives, and he cares about this as much as everybody else does. He's very passionate about it, and I liked what they accomplished with this. This is proof positive that if you care about something and you have access to at least a somewhat decent camera, this is what you can do. Like, you can be capable of doing this. Yes, you might have to put practice in, put some time in, but this is proof positive. You can make something out there, everybody. If you believe in yourself, go fucking do it. This tells you go fucking do it. And somebody's going to want to see it. And sometimes you just need one fun person to be like, you know what, that's pretty cool. You might want to fix this or that, but you got something here. One little encouragement will always nudge that forward for you.
True.
So I like how the movie speaks to not just Friday the 13th fans, it speaks to film fans in general. So I really appreciate that. I totally give this a double thumbs up on this.
Yeah, this is a gateway drug. This movie.
Goddamn right. I love horror. Did you just say horror?
Horror? It'll make you watch part 6, and it'll make you watch this. It'll make you watch Never Hike Alone in the Snow, and then it's you'll binge watch
It's
this
the thing.
shit all afternoon.
And you'll have a fun time. Like, I don't know anybody who's straight up said, that was kind of stupid. I didn't like it. Just about everybody everybody I've recommended this to that has seen it has at least always come back and said, that was actually pretty good, to that was awesome.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's fun. It's scary.
And it's infectious. It really does make you want to watch the other, Friday the 13th movies. Well, it makes you want to watch the rest of these, and it makes you want to get in on part of the fun. And, go to that Kickstarter, check out the final cut. Link is in the description down below. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Hey, and if you like our video, hit that little like button down below. Got a comment about this movie? Got a comment about any of the Vincent DiSanti movies? I want to hear it down below. I'm sure Kevin does too. We'd love to hear about anything you got for us. And also, when you hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell notification on the way out so you can stay tuned to all of our video content, and we will see you all one more time on Never Hike Alone Part 2 next week.